So maybe you were wondering what happened to this guy, Joe Crowley. Joe Crowley is the guy that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez beat. He responded by playing Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen to tie it back to Music Monday. Ironically, I'd be willing to bet that if Bruce Springsteen lived in that district, Bruce Springsteen wouldn't vote for Joe Crowley. I have a feeling Bruce Springsteen would have voted for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I can pretty much guarantee you Little Steven would have. And I have a feeling Bruce Springsteen, of course, he doesn't live in that district. He lives in New Jersey. But anyway, you get the idea. Maybe when he did that Broadway thing, he could have, like, moved into that district. I don't know. All right. Anyway, but Joe Crowley, what's Joe Crowley up to? Could Crowley end up being a lobbyist for Big Console? All right. Let's look into this. I'm not familiar with this. This is my first time seeing this. Joe shares this article. Joe Crowley, not Joe Crowley. Joe Crowley didn't share this himself. That'd be funny if he's like, talk shit on me. All right, anyway. Joe Crowley, the longtime New York congressperson who was unseated in the primary by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, remains extraordinarily popular among both Democrats and Republicans in the House, making him K Street's biggest whale for 2019. Among the closest to landing him, according to sources familiar with Crowley's post-congressional employment journey, is the video game industry's lobbying group known as the Entertainment Software Association. Okay, interesting. Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Ubisoft are only some of the members of the ESA. Politico first reported on Monday that Big Console is among the potential landing spots for Crowley. The former New York congressperson has also had early discussions with two other groups, Aiken, Gump, Strauss, Haar, and Feld, and Hogan Lovells, according to the report. A spokesperson for the ESA said that Big Console is not commenting on the search process. However, we will make an announcement when the time is appropriate. The video game industry's top legislative concerns involve rules around data privacy. They collect an awful lot of data, as well as intellectual property, patent law, and net neutrality regulations. Interesting. The new occupant of Crowley's former New York congressional seat has made regular use of the platforms most popular with gamers. Twitch, which is largely ignored by other politicians. She called into a Donkey Kong stream Saturday night. I heard about that, to talk about trans rights. That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that's doing that. Interesting. So I'm not familiar with the game lobbying. I mean, maybe later in the chat, some of you guys can enlighten me on some of that. But I'd imagine they'd be pro net neutrality. I would imagine that the gaming industry would be for net neutrality because it benefits their business model. You know, I mean, if streaming sites and sites like YouTube and so forth don't have net neutrality anymore, if we don't have net neutrality, it's going to hurt their business model because it's going to hurt people's ability to enjoy the content that they offer. You know, especially like with you know, the most popular YouTube channels out there, I believe, are channels of people playing video games. And that kind of generates more audience. So if that goes away, which it will with the loss of net neutrality, so I'd imagine the gaming industry is pro net neutrality. Now, I'd also imagine that they want to collect as much data on you as they can. So, you know, I have a feeling there's going to be some things where, you know, we got an ally in them, some areas where we might not. So... But, you know, I'm not totally cognizant in that. But it's interesting that their spokesperson, they're a video game company, and for their big lobbyist, they need an old white guy. Guess we'll see how all that unfolds. Joe Crowley, that's what he's up to. You heard it here first. Or second. Or third. Or, I don't know. Really, you know what? In the world of Get Your News On with Ron, this is a multiplayer game in many ways. Huh? It's one of those community games.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your